Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, May 12, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here at Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know whether that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the day in your specific area. Alright, so before we even look at the 7-day rainfall forecast across the Caribbean, we need to look at this post that was made highlighting what the sea surface temperatures were like a week ago, or at least 2 weeks ago, across the Atlantic. So it was at the beginning April 28th, then at the end May 11th. And look at the drastic change. We can see that it definitely warmed up, especially across southern main development region right here off the coast of Africa as well. And we know all of these yellows into the oranges represent the warmer than average sea surface temperatures that these storm systems thrive on. This is what they use to, become even more intense in general. And if it only takes only a couple of weeks, April 28th to May 11th, for such a drastic change to take place, can you imagine the time period from now all the way up until the peak of hurricane season, August to October? It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. So get yourself ready. I hope that you guys are preparing yourself for what's to come. Taking a look at the rainfall forecast maps here from the year on the GFS that came out today. Keep your eyes focused on the timestamp at the top as usual. Just right up here as we go to the next one, just 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. So where's the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Tuesday morning, maybe some isolated showers across the far eastern end. Tuesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Then on the GFS, let us see if we have consensus. Tuesday morning looks to be showing most of that rainfall toward north, not along the east like what the year was showing. Tuesday afternoon looks more so southern and southwestern parishes with that rainfall. What does Wednesday show? On Wednesday morning, are really showing much of anything across Jamaica and the Euro. On Wednesday afternoon, we see that green represents rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. What does the GFS show? Wednesday morning, rain toward west, rain toward north, and toward east. Then on Wednesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across mainly central and western parishes. What does Thursday morning show? On Thursday morning, we see rainfall to our south and to our east. Then on Thursday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Thursday morning, rainfall to our west, east, and north. Then on Thursday afternoon, we see that rainfall mainly across central and western parishes too. On Friday morning, what do we see? We see rainfall across the waters to our south, even across the far eastern end. Then on Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? On Friday morning, we see rainfall to our south, west, east, north. Then on Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall mainly across sections of some central and western parishes. Very interesting. On Saturday morning, what do we see? Rainfall to our south, rainfall to our northeast. Saturday afternoon shows that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Saturday morning, rainfall to our southwest, rainfall to our northeast. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across mainly southern and western parishes. Very interesting. On a Sunday morning, not really seeing much of anything across the island. Maybe some isolated showers across sections of some central and eastern parishes on Sunday afternoon. Then at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Monday, May 19th. We're seeing maybe some isolated showers across central to the eastern end. Let us see what the GFS is showing. Sunday morning, rainfall across our northern parishes. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across the far eastern end, the southwestern end. Then at the end of the 168 hours, we don't see much of anything across the island. But we do see an abundance of moisture across the far eastern Caribbean. Very interesting. We also see that on the year, but the GFS is a bit more pronounced. So it makes sense that the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps over the next 7 days are showing that the most rainfall across the Caribbean over the next 7 days from now until Monday, May 19 should be across the eastern Caribbean, where we see all of the dark reds, purples into the pinks. That represents anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of rainfall, especially for areas to the east of Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Western British Virgin Islands, much of the Leeward Islands, into portion of the Windward Islands. We also see an increase in rainfall totals for the northern Bahamas, Florida, section of Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and even portion of southeastern Nicaragua. It's going to be very interesting to see all of that plays out, because there could definitely be some amount of isolated flash flooding taking place. But in areas shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, reds, those areas should pick up at least up to 1 inch of rainfall at most. We're talking about areas such as the central to the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, the western end to the eastern end of Cuba, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, the eastern Yucatan Peninsula, section of Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, much of Nicaragua, the ABC Islands, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados getting on some of that, at least up to 1 inch of rainfall as well. And regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps of Jamaica, both maps right here showing all the rainfall that's expected from now until Monday, May 19. Shows Jamaica shaded in the blues, and the greens that represents at least up to at least 25 millimeters of rainfall at most. I don't know whatever affects the eastern end or the northeastern end is going to be during the morning hours. Whatever affects the central and western parishes is going to be during the afternoon. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted if what occurs on other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, you can see the dominant ridge of high pressure right here that's responsible for sending the easterly trade winds across the development region into the Caribbean. You see a frontal system right here extending down to the northeast of the Bahamas, a trough that's currently affecting the eastern Caribbean, a trough that's right here across the western Caribbean, and the frontal system still plaguing portions of the southern and southeastern US into portions of the eastern Gulf. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can make out the clouds associated with that frontal system, still lashing portion of Florida, the northern Bahamas, western Cuba, the western Caribbean, Central America as we speak. We can definitely see the broad airflow pressure, that spin associated with it across the southern US. Right there, we can also make out the clouds associated with the trough currently lashing the eastern Caribbean, and we can make out the frontal system that we mentioned extending down to the northeast of the Bahamas right there. And we can also make out the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east-west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean a little later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, May 12, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast of parts of northern and eastern Jamaica on Monday morning, also affecting parts of some western parishes during Monday afternoon. We know northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. The eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingside, St. Andrew. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 6:41 a.m., the visible satellite images were posted right here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, as well as on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So you can see the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west across the island early this morning. Definitely had some isolated sprinkles across maybe eastern St. Thomas, eastern Portland. And we also had some a thin line of clouds that brought some isolated showers to some northern coastal areas. We're talking about northern St. Anne, northern Trelawney, northern St. James. Definitely gotten out some amount of isolated shower activity early this morning. Then at around 5:05 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted once again, and they highlighted just a quick burst of convection right here across sections of eastern St. James, sections of Trelawney. Definitely coincides with what the GFS was showing. We saw the convection, we saw the yellow dot, that represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, to indicate that we had some amount of a brief isolated thunder shower taking place. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, we can even make out a brief cloudy isolated patch of showers right here across southeastern St. Anne, far northern St. Catherine, the convection across section of eastern St. James, section of Trelawney, and even a brief convection across sections of Hanover as well. So that indeed confirms the rainfall that was predicted for western Jamaica, but it was more so northwestern Jamaica that got the brunt of today's isolated shower activity. Then we have that rainfall that affected West Hanover as well. And if we take a look at the infrared cluster satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, we can even make out the blues into the greens that represent that convection that signal the cumulonimbus clouds being sheared out towards the east by that upper level wind shear. And we see the sparkling white dots in there that we know represent somewhat of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And we also make out some upper level cirrus clouds streaking in from the west across the island. Don't fret, there's no rainfall within any of that at all. Now we have the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing halfway through at around 1:31 p.m. today. You can see that it was partly cloudy and windy, mostly sunny for the most part. People in their vehicles going about their business, people walking about going about their business. Nothing significant in terms of bad weather taking place today at all across the carpet area. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. And we have a few comments here from some of our subscribers and followers. We have on our YouTube page Active4081 stating Clarendon hot. On our Instagram page we had Shani Nemo Megu stating raining in Trelawney right now. This was posted 13 hours ago and they were getting that early morning rainfall. Thank you both for confirming. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let's see what's happening right now. The latest still image is showing 0055 UTC, which is actually 7:55 p.m. So this just came out 8 minutes ago, considering that it's 8:03 p.m. right now. And we can still make out the whitish shades that represent that upper level cirrus cloud being sheared out towards the east. Nothing in terms of serious rainfall taking place across the island at this time. And let us see if the latest Doppler radar imagery can confirm all of this. We're reloading the latest Cuban Doppler radar, Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval radar, as well as the Cayman radar. Alright, so the latest Cuban Doppler radar imaging, unfortunately, looks like it glitched out to around 11:10 a.m. this morning. That's around 10:10 a.m. this morning. At that time, didn't see much of anything across Jamaica. The latest Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval radar images showing some rainfall right here to the northwest of Guantanamo. You also see some rainfall across the western peninsula of Haiti. Not seeing much of anything across northeastern Jamaica. The Cayman radar right here showing some rainfall right here across the waters to the south of central Cuba. There'll be some isolated shores to the southeast of the Cayman Islands. You also see that rainfall that affected portions of western Jamaica, now pushing off to the west. Taking a look at what's happening right now according to the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the flat bridge in St. Catherine. Water is still a bit murky. We can see that the area is definitely dry. People in their vehicles going about their business. So it should definitely be a fair evening for sure. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can still have 27 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. You can see Jamaica right here embedded in some yellows and some slight oranges. Represents maybe 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. I know the normal temperature for the month of May across Jamaica is around 89 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's around 31.6 degrees Celsius. You should be receiving anywhere from 31.6 to 32, maybe 33.6 degrees Celsius at most. Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. And unfortunately, we have a few maintenance outage advisories here on my JPS online Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Tuesday, May 13, 2025. Referring to Deans Valley in the parish of Westmoreland from 8 am to 5 pm, Fontabelle in the parish of Trelawney from 9 am to 5 pm, Naysbury Grove, as well as Casetown in the parish of St. Catherine from 9:30 am to 12 pm, Jacaranda Housing Scheme in the parish of St. Catherine from 9 am to 5 pm, Jane Ash Corner in the parish of St. Thomas from 9:30 am to 5 pm, Addington Drive, Barrington Drive off Meadowbrook Avenue in the parish of St. Andrew from 10 am to 5 pm, and finally we have Ranger Lane, Water Lane, Clow Lane in the parish of St. Catherine from 8:30 am to 6 pm. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh or eating cold food such as salads and fruit. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, you can see an abundance of dry air across the Gulf, abundance of dry air across the northern portion of North Atlantic. All of these yellows, oranges, reds represents that dry, stable air that basically makes it harder for it to rain, makes it harder for us to get storms this time of year. But what we like is the fact that we're seeing the yellows represent the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, and the blues represent the moist air across the eastern portion of the Pacific and the intertropical convergence zone of the Atlantic. And that's what we want. We want the moist air, we want the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, so that we can get more rainfall to keep water in our pipes. Now regarding the Saharan dust forecast, still seeing just a strand of anywhere up to at least a 6 in the dust concentration intensity across the southern main development region intertropical convergence zone. Nothing affecting the Caribbean, and we're grateful for that. For 1 p.m. on Tuesday, as you can clearly see, the vigorous plume sits all across Africa that we know can cause very hazy skies and trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. So we're glad that all of it is over here. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, not seeing much change. Highest waves still right here to the south of Jamaica, to the north of Colombia and Panama, to the east of the eastern Caribbean. All of the purples into the pinks representing 2 to 3 meter wave heights. And we're seeing a mixture of the blues and the light shades to dark shades represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all up to 1.5 meter wave height. If we zoom in on Jamaica, waves on the north coast up to at least 1 meter to the north of St. Anne, 0.8 of a meter wave height to the north of Hanover, 1.2 meter wave height to the north of Portland. Let's see, to the south of Westmoreland, 0.9 of a meter wave height, to the south of Clarendon, 0.9 of a meter wave height, south of St. Thomas, 1.5 meter wave height. And the more south we go, way out to sea, the higher the wave heights will get, where we see the purples into the pinks. That's because of the winds. Clearly we see an easterly flow of the wind across the Caribbean, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 to 25 knots, especially in the yellows. That's where the highest wind should be. More of a southeasterly flow across the Bahamas, more of a westerly flow across the Gulf. Regarding Jamaica's wind flow tomorrow, coming in from the east, averaging at least 15 knots on the south coast, 11 knots on the north coast right there. And we also see wherever the air is going to be piling up, wherever we have the blues, that's where all of the clouds are going to be building. Then we have some daytime heating rainfall, mainly across maybe sections of some central and western parishes, or maybe some southern and western parishes. Very interesting. And with the upper level winds coming in from the southwest tomorrow, it could favor some of that convection being sheared off towards the northeast for tomorrow instead. So unlike today, where the upper level clouds are being sheared off towards the east, it would be a case that if we get some convection, the upper level clouds will be sheared off towards that direction to the north, maybe bring some overcast skies to sections of some northern parishes. And regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 8 am Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7 am Jamaica time. In the Euro, we see the rainfall across the waters to our north as well as east. On the GFS, we see that rainfall across some northern or northeastern parishes. Maybe St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Well, more so St. Mary, Portland, and eastern St. Thomas. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Then by about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. We see that both the Euro and the GFS models are adamant that the rainfall in the blues should be affecting sections of some southern and western parishes. Maybe sections of Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, Maybe section of St. Andrew getting on some of the action too. Maybe St. Catherine. Maybe section of Hanover, Southern, St. James. Very interesting forecast. So I guess the forecast is going to be for morning rainfall across section of some northern and eastern parishes. Afternoon rainfall mainly across section of some southern and western parishes. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are adamant about this, especially across the west. The Euro going all the way up into the oranges are representing maybe to 0.5 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS only going up to at least 0.26 of an inch of rainfall. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of May, and in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to at least 140 millimeters of rainfall. In Montego Bay's bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive close to 6 inches of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of May or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have a lot of moisture coming into portion of the eastern Caribbean as we speak. Could even bring some isolated flash flooding. We still see the bout of moisture affecting portion of the southeastern US, the northern Bahamas, Cuba, the western Caribbean as we speak. And if we zoom in on Doppler radar imagery, Doppler radar showing, let's say, those areas across the eastern Caribbean, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique getting on some isolated shores, rainfall to the south and west of Puerto Rico. Loading these images from earlier today, we can see that eastern, central, western Puerto Rico definitely gotten on their fair share of rainfall. The Barbados radar showing some rainfall to the west and to the east of Barbados. Some isolated shores definitely going to be had as the night progresses. We see that section of St. Vincent and St. Lucia definitely gotten on some moderate rainfall to heavy rainfall earlier. It looks like it's dissipating now. We see some rainfall coming into section of southern Dominica, section of Martinique as we speak. We also see some nice rainfall coming into sections of Tobago, maybe even Trinidad as well. Regarding the weather, if you have Doppler radar images, we can see the rainfall off the east coast of Florida, section of northern Cuba, east of Belize, section of Colombia, Guyana, Suriname getting in on that action. And regarding where the brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the year and the GFS are showing that Florida, northern Bahamas, Cuba, western Caribbean, section of Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana going to be getting on the brunt of tomorrow's rainfall. While at least up to 1 inch of rainfall is going to be expected across areas such as Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize, sections of the Cayman Islands, central to southeastern Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, section of the Leeward Islands, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago getting on some of the action. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.